Yeah, we want a real experience of life itself. We are free. We are happy. We are creative, just like the children. So who am I? The creative life force, the universe, the quantum field, the field of all possibilities.
Great podcast today with Marcel Hof. That's Wim Hof's brother, the Iceman. We talked about their upbringing, what got them into the cold, breathwork, the benefits of that, and we touched a bit about spirituality. Check this one out. Marcel, welcome to the Blokes Lab.
Thank you.
I'm curious, who is Marcel Hof?
I'm curious too. I don't know. I got this name somewhere in my during my education and with my parents. So, who is Marcel Hof? Marcel Hof is a name, but who am I? And I think in my deepest core, I'm life itself, coming through this body, the life force, and expressing myself as Marcel Hof. This is the name and way we recognize each other, but it's not me. It's the same force and energy which is going through all our bodies, and that's the unity we are. And it's time to really remember each other, that we are this creative force, this life force, and that we feel this life force from experience, not from the head. It's a beautiful story because lots of people can talk about this, and books, full of shit also at the same time. Because we want a real experience of life itself. We are free. We are happy. We are creative, just like the children. So who am I? The creative life force, the universe, the quantum field, the field of all possibilities. That's better than myself.
That sounds way better. I can redefine my own.
So when was that first time that you actually connected with that life force, your own life force?
Yeah, I think when I came here on Earth and before already. But then, what we all do and what all happens is, we become identified with the body, with a certain amount of ideas, experience, etc. And you think you are that only. And then the educators come in, your parents come in, and they say, you cannot do this, you have to do that, and all these limitations. So at a certain moment, you limit yourself more and more because you believe in that story. So it took me a long time to see it was just a story. I am not limited, to release all these blocks and to acknowledge, no, I'm much more. And by doing all these things with my brothers also, like Wim and Ruud, especially Wim. Ruud was the other brother. We made a lot of music, tried out, coming into a flow. We climbed mountains, we climbed walking on bridges, doing yoga, doing extreme breathing exercises, going into the cold. From 13 years old, I'm now 57, becoming 58 already.
From 13 years old, you started.
Yeah, from 13 years old already. So it's part of my education. And I felt it feels good.
Yep.
Because I felt the energy flowing. It's the life force. But then I didn't know, what is this? I just felt good. And that is the natural energy, the natural intelligence, whatever you call it, where you feel connected with nature, where you feel that you are one. And you don't feel distinction. So later we learn we are this certain body with certain ideas and certain thoughts, and then there are a lot of shit thoughts that come in from educators, like you have to do this before you are happy, you have to create that, and you have to, but you don't have to do anything at all. We are already this complete life force. So coming back and getting an experience of this feeling, this fullness, that's my message. And it is just a simple message, which we all already are, but really getting people to this beyond their own blocks, because we're all blocked, we are all programmed, hypnotized, whatever you call it. So just acknowledge these pieces and to become open and to become transparent with this, bring it into the light, and there comes the breathing in. It's just bringing more light into your body. Inspiration is from Latin. Inspire means spire is breath. Getting more breath in, getting more life in. Everything comes into the light, and then all the shit thoughts come into the light. You just have to acknowledge them. And sometimes there's a lot of pain, sometimes a lot of sorrow. But if you allow that to happen, because I always say life is full, all experiences are there. Life is total. Every experience is part of life. You cannot say this emotion I want, that emotion I don't want. Then it gets suppressed in the body. It gets stuck. So to get back, to bring that into the light, that is now my main purpose, my main message. Bring that into light and seeing that you are this light. You are doing it yourself. I only assist some people. I facilitate people to remember them to their deepest part. And there is this enormous beauty. It happens naturally. We've got this natural intelligence, I called it. It's just an idea like 20 years ago it came up. It's natural intelligence of the body. The body knows. The body knows. Beyond and before the mind, the body knows. So just fill it in with a lot of energy, a lot of oxygen, and it goes to the mitochondria. That's the scientific part, more energy, more burning, more clarity. Then the things become clear, you can see it, and then you can release it and choose something else. Then you see you've got choice again.
So no attachment and no judgment when you actually face them.
Yeah, no?
No attachment and no judgment.
True, yeah, because sometimes we are so used to it, you think you are that part.
Yeah.
To get accustomed to something doesn't mean that it is good for you.
Yeah.
But we are used to that part, and you think, oh, that's me. I always feel depressed when I do this, but it's just an idea you took on in a certain moment, on a certain place, maybe with educators. But if it doesn't serve you anymore, it's time to change that.
Very good.
And how to change that? There the breathing comes in. It's a very easy and a very beautiful part to get these things more into the light. And then with the right intention and the right way, and instead of suppressing it, because then everything you resist persists, it's just a natural law, you have to embrace it because it's part of life. Everything wants to be seen. Even the deepest shit, the deepest pain, it wants to be seen, it wants to be acknowledged, and then you can let go because you are not attached. It's just a belief. And you choose something else, you choose something you like, because we are here for enjoying life in its fullness.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's interesting how like the lives that we're conditioned is that even in expressing full emotion, all emotions, how we're so commonly there's positive and negative emotions as opposed to there's emotions.
Yeah.
And we just got to experience them all. And then we identify positive ones and we want to experience them, and anything that's negative, we just put that in the shadows and just try and numb ourselves and run away from it, as opposed to really. That's something I've done in the last year and a half since I've been working with Theo.
Me too. We are human beings. Me too, and everybody. So let's acknowledge that part and see that, and see we are full of shit. We are totally hypnotized. Yeah,
you know me well.
Yeah. Me too. But this is not the real you only. So I don't know you in that part. And to see, I see in the people the full you, who is already totally here in his fullness. Full life, and that other part are just ideas. I've got the same ideas, but how much belief and how much energy do you still want to give that? And if you're really open and transparent and ready to release it, then there is a possibility, and there is an easy way. But you have to be fed up of these all thoughts, all ideas, and all programs. Yep. And then there's a really simple possibility. But first, we have to acknowledge that part. Not, everything is going well, and then you go home and everything is fucked up. You hit your woman or whatever. Your kids are crying. So it's not a real story. No. To become honest and see that things don't work. And why they don't work, and then we can look with each other like an investigator. Where's the part that doesn't work? I acknowledge it, I see it. How can we help each other? And if you don't know, just ask somebody else. We are here to remember each other to our deepest part. That's the heart, or whatever you call it, the quantum field of all possibilities, where you got choice, like a child. They play without any borders in the beginning. And slowly they become more full of ideas of the educators and of the parents or whatever, if they are also, because they are also conditioned. So we bring it over. But to break that chain, you have to become aware and to become honest to yourself.
Of course.
And that's why we are here, to become really, really honest. I want to create also a field where we really can be honest and open to each other, transparent, and then you can really come together.
Without judgment,
Yeah.
In terms of your upbringing, obviously you're saying you guys got, when your other brother and yourself got into that lifestyle at 13, 14.
Yeah.
So what sort of drove you guys to that lifestyle in terms of going extreme yoga, going mountains, cold breath work, all that sort of stuff? Because that's for a 13 to 14-year-old just to decide to go down there. It's obviously, was it a father figure? Was it someone else? Was it something particular that really drove you?
Yeah.
What sort of drove you guys as just entering teenage.
Yeah, we felt in a way we didn't fit in a society which is not natural. Then you try out something else, and we tried out. And for us, we also played in our way a lot of sports, playing football, playing basketball, doing all kinds of yoga, walking on bridges like on the lines for your evenwicht, your
proprioceptors.
Yeah. So to stay in the middle, I don't know exactly the English word, but all trying out your body and find the limits. And every time we saw there is no real limit. The only limit is in the head. Then you come in a flow, a natural flow. You can play with these things. And why we did it? Because it felt good. It felt more alive, more aliveness, and more enjoyment, and more energy, more focus. So it was a natural thing. It was not like, oh, now we are going there. We know just if you jump into the water, do the yoga, do the breathing exercise, you get all these beautiful experiences. And that's life itself. It makes life itself more full, total. And it released ourselves from this part where we didn't fit in society in a way. I had my education, I had my work, but I never fit in really. I couldn't stay longer than a half a year or years with some work, and I was fed up again. And I've always, I had this basis of doing yoga, doing the breathing exercise, doing the cold. And with these brothers, you create an energy, you create a safe space where you can try out all these things and be open to each other. And it's easier with family in the beginning. But you don't, what is family? Where you feel safe. So we have to create that family with everybody. We are the human family in a way. So we have to create a new society where you feel safe again. If you don't feel safe, we get stuck in a story. So it became a natural way of feeling safe, and at the same time creating all these new things. So we played a lot of music, a lot of creation, improvising, and feeling what works for us the best. And that it took a long time before it came like a method. So what is a method? It's a way to go somewhere, and where for me was physically in my long time the most important part. Having more energy, also with football, having more clarity with the breath, getting to the dopamine, serotonin, all the inner drugs, which are all there for free if you just know your way. So that was also a part, but now the last 4 or 5 years, I see the most important part is to get out of the story, because I see always, and especially in myself, there it began, still these blocks sometimes kind of hypnotized, because you get this information like 30, 40, 50 years, your whole life long. Then you believe at a certain moment that is the only true. You just see if there is something else, if you try out and feel and experience. So by experiencing all kinds of states, trying out a lot also. I used drugs also when I was younger, and I drank a lot. Later I did ayahuasca and all these things, and I saw all the possibilities. That's the importance of these things, to get you out of a vicious circle. You think sometimes you're stuck, but sometimes you need something to get out of that circle if you don't have anybody else who is remembering you of who you really are. So we had to do it by experience, by trying out. And now I'm happy I can bring people easily to that state. It's with a lot of absolute trust in just it's there. I've seen it. I know it. It's there. It's just an experience of life itself. And at the same time, creating safety, because one of the most important parts I see in everybody and also in society, if you don't feel safe, you don't show yourself. You stay in this survival mechanism. So we are all in a way in a kind of certain survival mechanisms, because you have to survive. It's the best way at that moment to be in your life. But at the moment, it is not necessary anymore. You lose a lot of energy with the survival mechanism. You can finally relax, because society, and that's what I want to create, becomes more safe, more at ease, just like family. You don't have to pretend anymore. Just be who you are. We are already this fullness, this totality of life itself. And it is an enormous beauty at the moment you feel it.
It's all
And
happening.
that's, and it's so simple, too simple for the mind.
Yeah.
So it's time to get out of the bullshit of the mind. And then the mind can become the servant of the heart or the unity or the gut, whatever you feel it is. Because that's the real science. The real science is we are connected. Einstein's discovered it already a long time. We are all energy. Energy, an exchange of energy. That's you can call it a name, but it's changing all the time. There is no one way. But allowing that change, then you come into a flow. That's the real flow of life. It's like surfing life itself. And then you can choose, okay, I take that wave or whatever. And that's beautiful. But it's just... it's no necessity, but it has its own beauty. It's bigger than your mind. And for me, the real spirituality is that feeling, having this experience of unity. That's a natural spirituality, is with the feet in the ground at the same time, being connected. At the same time, seeing that you've got choice and can play. Yeah.
Definitely. And it's interesting how stress has got a bad stigma. I mean, we need stress to grow. In the acute setting, it's more that chronic stress, and how traditionally our ancestors, the stress response was for the saber-toothed tiger coming after you. Whereas now these days that's no threat. The greatest threat for most people is fear of other people's opinions. Yeah, and that's what, and we're so conditioned that it's just that constant, and that's not going to be an acute episode until you can actually work. People can work through it. That's like a constant thing that we've all got to work through. So that's where, that's why it's so important. So in saying that as well, like with people working who might feel a little bit lost, or they lack purpose, or they feel stuck, whether it's career, relationship, anything like that. And there's heaps of people these days. Yeah. I think they're finding themselves just stuck. And when you're free, you can't see how that can happen, but people perform quite easily. What sort of process or bit of initial advice would you give someone who just feels like, I'm locked in?
I can only say, what do I do? Yeah. And when I'm feeling stuck, sometimes feeling stuck is mostly in a state of mind. We can play with these state of minds. There, the breathing comes in. It's an easy way to change your state of mind. So feeling stuck is in a certain state of mind. It's like a circle. You have to get out of that circle. And to go deeper, to get in another circle, because everything is in a kind of circles, everything is connected. You come in a deeper, relaxed state. In that relaxed state, there is no problem anymore. So you have to change your state of consciousness. The breathing helps you. So in beta, you think a lot, and in delta or theta, there's much more relaxation. The thoughts become fluid. So if you feel stuck, your certain thoughts, certain emotions coming back all the time, maybe it's trauma, PTSD, whatever you call it, stress, you have to get out of that circle. And if you go deeper, then there is no problem anymore. There's even that thought isn't there anymore. So first, get people to the experience, there's no problem anymore. Then from that part, it's easy to play with the thoughts, which have been a problem in the other state of mind. The thoughts become fluid, and you can give them other possibilities and see, if you like, between sleeping and waking, sometimes if you wake up, there are a lot of thoughts, but nothing is stuck in a way. And one thought comes up, then another, and it's very fluid. There it's easier to let go of whatever experience. So bring these people in that state, very relaxed state. There I use the breathing. I give some intention to let go, to embrace, instead of suppressing that. Mostly it's a suppressed emotion. Then I've got the possibility to let it go. I create that safety, and I encourage them to embrace that feeling, because it was the right way to do at a certain moment. It's a survival mechanism. You choose at a certain moment to create that thought, not to show yourself totally, or to block yourself at certain, because there is too much information, too much pain, then you block yourself. And sometimes that is the right thing to do. But if you keep that thing doing 20 or 30 years later still, and the circumstances have disappeared or changed, then it's not the right thing to do anymore. So it's time to let go. So you have to embrace, give it even love, because you can say to yourself, from your higher self, or whatever you want to call it, from your real self, it's okay that you choose that thing at that moment, that emotion, but now it's not necessary anymore. You can let go. But I have to bring them first in the deep, relaxed state, And they will recognize, because then they've got this experience of this deep inner being, which you are more than being blocked. It's just an idea. It's just an identification. So you have to get out of the identification, experience your fullness, and from this fullness you can see yourself from another perspective, and you see that part that is identified. You can embrace it. You can even love it. Thank you for assisting me at that moment, helping me at the moment. But now it's time to let go. It's not necessary anymore. I create something else. You put the energy and your attention on the other thing, the other way you want to go. You've got choice. You will feel that in that deep state, and you just have to train that. Because you're trained in the other way, you're accustomed to do that. That's the unconscious part. You became unconscious. So first you have to see you've got choice again. Then you have to create something else, and then put your attention and your thoughts to that part. Giving it attention is just giving it water. Then it can grow, then it can flow, and you will see, because you have got that conviction from an experience, not from a thought. You know it's true. So you know it's true. And it doesn't mean that the old experience is totally gone. Mostly it is, because at that moment it's totally gone. But still you have to keep on focusing on the new. Because the other will still sometimes remembering you, okay, this was your old way. Does it still fit you? Do you still want to do that? No, you know the other way is much more energetic, free, happy, creative, whatever. Now it's time to train that also. So give that attention. And that's pretty simple. Yeah. It's pretty simple. So I now explain it. If we do a breathing, you can feel it. You get an experience. If you do a deeper breathing, you will fully experience it. Every thought will blow away. That's beauty. And it's quite simple, but it needs some vulnerability. Just the openness. Okay, I believe you that there is this possibility. Let's do it. And if you say from that, no, I believe it, I won't do it, or you do it half, it doesn't work. No. That's what you create then at that moment. We are creating all the time. Or you're creating your old conditioning, old habits, or you're creating something new. And sometimes you don't know which idea, which conditioning is going on. So, and then you have to be kind of investigator, going in a deeper state where you can find them. Where you can find your old conditioning, old ideas, like an investigator. You have to investigate, and then take. Yeah, you have to put on your whatever, your glasses, and see. Okay, like an inspector.
It creates also more safety within yourself. Also, the more you practice.
The real safety is inside. It's not from anything outside. It's real safety is there. You will experience that safety.
Of course.
And the safety, most safe is you're fully loved, full attention. If everything is there, if you get that experience, you feel it's there. You don't have to search it anywhere else anymore.
But in a relationship.
But you can forget also. But you can forget also, because with plant medicine, I had it hundreds of times. Then it's easy. You just fall in almost in this source of being and energy and possibility. But to do that consciously and get this experience and a way to go to that conscious feeling, it takes like a kind of training, because you have to train your attention, your focus. But it's enormous beauty has it, because you just embrace everything there is more and more, because you feel it makes you more complete as a human being.
And do you feel like the addition of other tools, like occasionally the utilization of plant medicine in the right setting for people, in conjunction with these other protocols that you've been doing, do you feel that can allow people to go even deeper, and it's much more beneficial than just focusing on just breath and the cold?
Yeah, I think if people are fully stuck, sometimes it's very difficult to get them out, only with breathing, because there is a lot of mental disturbance. They won't do it fully. So then I think in a lot of cases, because lots of people are fully blocked, because there is so much information and disinformation. And for me, it's disinformation. Everything that doesn't remember you and who you really are. There's a lot of bullshit also going on. So how to come to the experience, sometimes you need something like plant medicine. But I think at the moment it becomes more subtle. I don't think you need it anymore. You can use it.
Okay. You can access it.
Yeah, you can, but it doesn't mean you cannot try out, because if you combine some things, and yesterday I did a beautiful training with 15 people. They went very deep at that moment. A lot of blockages just came out in half an hour. They released a lot of shit, so it had his own beauty. But then this guy came in, said, "Oh, sometimes trying one or two." How do you say it? Truffles? Plant medicine. Whatever, plant medicine. I don't know in English the right word, but it will come. So, but the combination, I thought, if you've got like this physical pain somewhere, you don't know where exactly, then you can combine them. I don't know exactly where it is, but I work from intuition, and intuition is intuire from Latin, going inside. Intuition is, the information is already inside. If you feel this connection, we got downloads. You are, you sit aligned with the cosmos. There is all information. There is all information we don't know exactly, but the energy. I'm now just explaining the energy which is coming in, and I'm explaining, giving it words. That's the thing I do. I don't know before what comes in. So, but I love and I trust that everything is already there. And it's an experience. I know that it works this way. So if you combine and you just are open to the possibilities, it's easier to imagine, I think, with plant medicine. Don't take too much, I would consider. Because then you're going totally in the imagination, and it's beautiful also. Yeah. For some people, it's absolutely...
Can be confusing also.
Can be confusing also. So and with the right people who are assisting you and facilitating you, it's a beautiful experience. But I think I wouldn't take so much, because then you can keep it conscious. You then, again, like an investigator or inspector, find the places where you are stuck, also physically. I think that would be a great combination, absolutely. Because I saw the power of breath only now. For me, it's more than enough. But it doesn't mean I am not open for new suggestions. We are in this era where everything is possible. So combinations, I see a synergy. You also use the drum, use my voice. Sometimes this energy comes in. It's all about vibration. Everything is energy. Everything is vibration. Yeah. If you play with the states, you make just new things possible. So there is no right or wrong. It's sometimes, and you have to figure out yourself, and you know yourself. We know ourselves.
What comes from within.
Because that's one of those things I probably started. I mean, my plant medicine for the first time probably 15 months ago, and I always found I had a lot of blockages, a lot of resistance, and even though I was able to get into it somewhat through breath work, I was still very early in the learnings of that. But even just some elementary plant medicine and integrating that with breath work, I went deeper than I've ever gone.
Then you know.
So like for me, I know that allowed me to get over that hurdle to get me in deeper into my body and start that journey. And it's not something that needs a regular, but I have made on occasions when I have done it and gone a bit deeper in the right environment, in the ceremonial setting. I've just got, and especially when it's now that I'm more opened up. Yeah, like with the right intention, I've just gone straight there.
Yeah, with it as well. Yeah, beautiful.
So it's one of those things for me. It's made. It's not something I do regularly at all, but it's something that when I feel like I need to go deeper or need a bit of a shake up or something like that in the right environment, when Theo's taking me there every time we've done it. But look, you need to come out of it, and once you integrate it with these practices, it's amazing what it does, and it just completely just sends you on that more connected with yourself. And it's amazing how things don't always change straight away, but you just see things slowly over the weeks after. And just different, the way you conduct yourself and the way you think, and everything just starts to...
Everything flows. Everything flows. You can manifest so easy.
Yeah, and we are manifesting all the time. Exactly. And sometimes you don't know what you're manifesting, but you just look around. Because we are like how do you say it? Remote control. You're sending out all the time. So if you want to see what you're sending out, then look around how the people react, how they are. That's what you're sending out. And if we want to change that, you have to acknowledge also sometimes the ideas which are behind. If there are things you don't like, you are just like sending out, and then you see the rest. This is the mirror. This is the ongoing mirror is here going on. And that is, we think, in a way, it's your universe. So if the more you become aware of that part, the more you can really also change and play with it. It's fun also. Yeah, it's a beautiful, then it's a dance of life. Yeah, absolutely.
So in terms of with cold therapy, how cold, what's the coldest you've...
The coldest?
What's the coldest?
Yeah.
And then do you talk in Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Yeah, Celsius for me is, it's more easy.
How cold would, how cold is...
Yeah, I had some challenges, and I will talk about 2 challenges. It was long. Yeah, I did this thing with Wim. I swam with him like 20, 25 minutes in the winter, and that was normal. We did it daily. So how long and how far can you go? Yeah, the water below zero, it cannot go so much below zero. So how cold? I think 0, maybe 0.2 or 3. But with ice, thick as a meter. So sometimes we said during the begin practices, I don't recommend it to anyone, but we did it. We did it. We did the breathing exercise, like something 3, 4, 5 minutes, standing in the ice, and then the last breath, going under the ice, and just sitting for 2 minutes. But it's so powerful. Yeah, fully immersed. Yeah. And you can sit there because it's so powerful, the energy of the breath, that you don't feel the cold anymore. So because a lot of energy is going in your body and you can relax in that state. But it's not about how long and what you can endure, but it's more about, how far can you go? Yeah, I think an hour if you would like. But it's not about that. It's about, for me now, more the physical part. You train this blood vessels of your body. Just 3 days ago, this guy came to a training workshop of us, and he told, like 3 years ago, he took a training and then he was fully depressed. He had this catatonic. It's like a kind of psychosis.
Yeah.
He became catatonic, but when he began doing the breathing and the cold, everything disappeared, and his heart rate went down from 75 to 55, 20 times less per minute. So the most important thing now is, by training with the cold and like 2 minute max in 0 degrees water, something like that. You train the body and you've got the bases already. So you train all these 100 kilometers blood vessels. Your heart rate will slow down. Heart disease number 1 in the world. It works against inflammation. 60 to 70 million people die every day of inflammation. Suppresses inflammation. It works on your autoimmune system against autoimmune diseases. And there is much more. So a month ago I talked to Wim. He said, there's some new research going on. There is like 500% more blood flow during the breathing exercises, 20, 25 minutes to the head and to the heart.
Yeah.
So that means all these connections become much more better. So there is so much going on. They cannot, they can resist at a certain time, but there is so much information coming up. And then also that the part of the E. coli bacteria, 2012, they did this research on the Institute University or Radboud University, where they inserted 12 or 15 people with E. coli bacteria. They were not trained, and the other people were trained with breathing and cold. And the people who were trained with breathing and cold, they didn't get any by effects. The other part, the other group had nausea, throwing up, became sick, all these flu-like symptoms. Pretty extreme, but the other part, nothing. So in a short time, you can change your physical state enormously. You don't need all these jabs and all these nonsense, because we've got this power inside, and it's not against one virus, it's against all viruses. Your army is totally alert. And at the same time, you train your mind, because going into the cold is not about how long you can go into cold. All these physical power is very beautiful. You recover better, your system becomes better, your physical resistance becomes better, but more important for me is physical stress going into the water. You come in a state of physical stress. If you can relax that part, you can relax also all kinds of stress in your normal life. So I think that's just like it's almost like a ceremony going into the water. And that is the physical part. But the mental part is you are much more resistant against all kinds of stress. You can relax finally in a difficult situation. You will take that into the rest of your life. So that's very, very powerful. Yeah. So it's not, I made it now more about, because there's a lot of mental problems in Australia, especially also. I heard a lot of suicides, etc. If you can teach them just getting this dopamine, this beautiful drugs that are inside with some breath and some cold and some intention, we can make a simple path to get them to that part, but they have to get known with that possibility only.
Because that's the thing, when you are conditioned for all your life to seek everything externally, solve your problems instead of actually looking within to solve it, like obviously it will take some time. But obviously, like, actually consciously going through a process like that and creating that hormetic response inside the body. And the more you go there, obviously you're building that resilience and your capacity to deal with stress increases like so much.
Absolutely. It's an experience. You can talk about it for years. But you want the experience, you want the feeling, the real connection.
Of course.
And it takes some people, because they're not safe. Maybe they're learned from you have to get your happiness or things outside, but it's all inside. So first we have to let them know you're completely, totally already okay as you are, because you are life itself. But maybe there are some programs like a computer that don't work, and it's okay. We've got it all. We've got some programs that don't work. Okay, then you need other software. You have to change some things,
of course,
so that it works again. And whatever you take, plant medicine, whatever. But I think that they've got all their possibilities. But for me, the breath is maybe the easiest way. But some people need more. I think in the beginning, absolutely. If it becomes more subtle, you can give other things. At a certain moment, you don't need anything.
Of course.
If you, what do you believe? So it's our own belief system which is in the way. If you believe in your limits, you create your limits. You believe in your possibilities, you create possibilities. But sometimes unconscious blocks are in between. And how to get rid of them, that's our specialism. Because I was full of shit with a big family, and also my father was a drunk. It was not also beautiful. It was not great. I didn't have any structure at all. Wim, the same. We didn't have any. So we had to find out ourselves. What is the structure of life? What are the natural laws of life? And by experiencing, you find out, okay, this works like this works like this. Exploration, we have to become explorers again and see it's not good or bad. It's just, this doesn't work. So you have to change your path. Having that openness,
That literally going back to being a kid, essentially, going back to that natural state that we have. Exploring and figuring out for ourselves what feels good and what's right,
And then you see the kids, they fall down, they cry, and then 2 seconds later they laugh. They see something.
Let's try something else.
And there's no seriousness in it. It's just a play, and we became a little too serious because we became identified with this idea of I'm Marcel, and you are you, and you are you. So you get stuck a little. And then it's difficult to get out. But then that's why you create sometimes difficult situations like cold, but consciously, like breathing exercises, but consciously. So you can take people safely in an experience where they can feel and play with difficult situation. Because then they can see, I'm the one who is in the middle. I'm the one who's seeing all. I'm the awareness in it. And I can choose. If they feel like a victim, then they're fully identified with the situation. So it needs some assistance, some facilitating to get them aware again. Who are you really? And I see all the time people recognize that part everywhere and everyone, because it's just who we are.
It's always.
We are that all the time. So, and not all the limits. We are not this limited being. So playing with these perspectives and trying it out in experiences and getting them with breathing and sometimes with plant medicine if it is necessary. If it works, it works. That's the only thing.
I feel the breath is that important component that no matter what you try, it's that thing that you really need to utilize during your process, no matter if it's plant medicine, if it's yoga, movement, body work, like anything. Breath work is always the one that really allows you to access. Always.
Yeah.
What's like a basic, I guess, protocol that regular person who hasn't done a heap of breath work or cold exposure that they can do, incorporate? Most people will probably say to you, they're too busy.
Too busy. I heard this.
That grinds my gears. That grinds my gears. And then if you looked at their screen time, would be fucking like 4 or 5 hours a day.
If you're too busy to get a good health and to get a good mind, then just keep on doing what you're doing, because then you will see the result. Like a disease, it's like a pathway. And then that's why a doctor can say, if you keep on doing this, you will fall down. If you keep on walking to the edge of how do you say it? Of a cliff, you will fall down. But if you change your path by creating new conditions, new way of dealing with your life, using breathing or health, so change the condition of your life, of your body, then the outcome will be different. That is as simple with everything. So if people are sick and they've got bad habits, you just have to change these bad habits. These also mental, not only physical, but also mental. So then you have to acknowledge and find them first, what thoughts I have, what feelings I have, because it creates also, and that is also science, because thoughts have an effect on the body, have an effect on, we are water. You know these things with Emoto. You know? Yeah. No, Emoto, this is Japanese. He found out when people are meditating, the crystals of the water change. And the structure of the water changed. Before it was fully fucked up because it was the water was troubled water. But after meditating, the crystals of the water became completely clear because it's energy. So your state of mind is energy. So if you change your state of mind by changing all your ideas, setting good intentions, also the cells change. So we have to become aware of that part, and at the same time, giving it more energy, bringing it into the light, using breath, you can change the energy and the structure. So the more we become aware of that part, the more we can manipulate in a positive way our existence, our mental part, our physical part, and then choose the path we want.
Okay. And that's the thing with like habits as well, because everyone's so short-term focused. Good habits, you don't always see the results straight away. You often see them well down the track. And bad habits,
we like instant coffee. We like direct result. Oh, okay. No.
And bad habits, you don't see them straight away as well. So like the thing is, unless people see something happen, a good habit, and there's a positive reinforcement straight away, because things like breath work, and I mean, you can straight away, but like a lot of people, they might not see enough straight away, any good habit to incorporate. It's the compounding effect of doing things daily over time consistently, which has a massive effect. And same thing with the negative. It's the compounding that has that negative effect. So even like for someone who is busy, what sort of is a minimum amount of time per day, do you think? And what's like, for example, do you have for them say, I have like a 10 minute, 15 minute morning routine that could be something that they could at least practically incorporate. They can sort of
After 30 or 40 years of training, I don't do so much anymore. I do it when I feel into it, when I've got time in between. Sometimes I have to wait somewhere, and I do the breathing. Sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, but in a few minutes you have got already effect. You can change your state of mind just in a minute already. So if you don't have got time, you create more time, you create more focus, you create more energy with the breathing. I would suggest, I did a research with 2,000 people in Holland, just taking them 1 month into cold showers. From 0 to 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, there was 30% less people who became sick.
For people who did it for like a month.
We did it for like 30%. So it's just a simple thing. 1 or 2 minutes going into the cold water, taking cold showers. At the end of the warm shower, even 1 minute or 1 minute 30 cold showers, 30% less people who became sick.
Yeah.
So if you don't have got time, you create time, you create more energy, you create more clarity. So it needs to be, I think, incorporated in all parts of life, even in practical life and corporations, because it takes you back in deep relaxation. And that deep relaxation, you become more creative. You got more energy. You get reloaded. You fill your battery. So if you say, I don't have got time, no. Finally, if you don't do it, your battery will be empty at a certain time. People become sick. You get PTSD, trauma, all these stress. It gives you all that because it's not natural. We are a natural part. It has to be reloaded. That's why we sleep. But because of the overload of information and all of the things you have to do, and also the old programming, you become easily overloaded. And that's why the stress comes in. It's a signal. It says, now it's time to do something else. And then you get a signal, you feel pain, whatever. Something comes in, hello, I'm here. Your body, you want something else instead of keeping the same bad custom, bad habits. Yeah. And there you have to come in. If you don't listen to that part, and that's what I mean, intuition is just listening to your body because it gives signals.
They're blessings, yeah.
And they're in a way blessings. Yeah. But if you say, no, I suppress it, you can do it a certain time. But it comes up again. It wants to be seen, it wants to be acknowledged.
You're always going to have to pay the bill.
Yeah.
You've always have to. Anyway.
Right? Yeah. Otherwise, if you keep ignoring it, will manifest, obviously, like other as disease or something.
That is dis-ease. We have to become at ease and not dis-ease. And it's easy to become at ease if you change your state of consciousness. It's easier to relax. So, but you have to get a physical feeling of that, an experience, because you can know it from the head that you have to do that. But what does it say? You have to go into the sun. But if you don't walk out and feel the sun, you've got nothing. You've got just a beautiful sentence, story. But you have to do it also. Yeah.
As we said also, because obviously there's a lot of information out there, like, so many different types of breath work.
Yeah.
And videos and people practicing all the stuff.
Yeah.
Can you please explain, like for our listeners, is there any difference between nose breathing, mouth breathing? Like what's your process with breath work and all the stuff? Like how do you do it?
Yeah, how do I do it? I do it after all these years from intuition. We were breathing outside mostly through the mouth. Mm-hmm. But if it feels difficult, you can breathe through the nose. There's more control. Some people find it difficult, but breathing through the mouth and getting a lot of oxygen energy in, breathing out the carbon dioxide, it's just a waste. Then there is a saturation of energy. It doesn't matter so much how you do it, but to get people in a state where they are pretty relaxed, so the energy can go its natural way. That's my way of doing and working with breath. And at the same time, I see, and you see it also with this plant medicine, you have to be fully aware if you're still full of shit and you do the breathing exercise and take people in a different state of consciousness. They feel energy. You feel energy, you're more open to feel energy. So you have to be fully aware if you are like a teacher, what you bring over. You have to be aware of your own state. Sometimes you better don't do it if you're not in a right and relaxed state, because people who are in this relaxed state feel energy, and you will take it over even unconsciously. So people can all talk about, I'm doing breath work, I learned something and whatever, of course. That's beautiful. It has its effects, but yes, really bringing it over, and that's what I see. That's why I see it works most of the time, that people go very quickly, very deep, and can release a lot of shit. But because I bring them to this most favorite block, and we've got them all, a favorite block where you are fully stuck, but it has an enormous beauty if they feel safe. And I think after all these years, because I went through all these experiences, dying a few times, one time underwater almost. I was exactly the same time underwater as Wim when he was doing his Guinness Book of Records. 142. But I died almost, and it was not for a Guinness Book of Records because the safety diver couldn't see me anymore. I was under the ice. And then they had to take me out of the ice. I was almost unconscious, but I learned to surrender totally, even to the cold. Yeah. So we've got this possibility. If you totally surrender, you don't feel anything anymore. There's just moment in between living and dying, that you completely surrender. And still everything is okay. It doesn't matter circumstances. It doesn't matter anything anymore.
How was it processing that?
Yeah.
And how did you go through that process of...
What happened? Yeah, I created, after I created the whole situation. I was not good in my energy. I came from a bad relation. I wanted to get out of that story. And I didn't know how. So after the day I had to do for a commercial, swimming under the water, was not so much, like 20 meters, but the ice was like 60 centimeters thick. So you couldn't break it. But it was a lot of turmoil under the water, but everything went wrong at that moment. All the signals were saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But I still ignored it. And at the same time, my intuition said, don't do it. But I was not in a good situation. I didn't listen at that moment to my intuition. I just jumped into the water, was not well prepared. And because of the turmoil under the water, the safety diver couldn't see me. So I had 5 or 6 times, I did like this sign. I've got no breath anymore. But the first time he didn't see me and I had to go through. So I only thought, shit, he doesn't see me. I didn't have any time to panic. So I swam further, another 5-6 meters. Again, the sign, I got no breath anymore. But no safety dive. I was totally alone. And after 5, 6 or 7 times doing this, the last thought was, shit, nobody is coming anymore. It was not a white light. It was not a beautiful thing. It was just like a candle slowly diminishing. Yeah. And it was my deepest fear was always to be totally alone and to die. And that came through in that experience. Yeah. So there was an interesting lesson. So I learned to surrender. And just to feel that feeling, which I suppressed already all my life, I think. Maybe it was from an unconscious part from my childhood, I don't know. But that was the lesson I had to learn. I came out later. Later, I processed it all, and I saw it in how it was. And because I directly told the story to somebody, to a relation I had at that moment, I didn't took on any trauma or whatsoever. But there was another lesson. Listen to your body, listen to your intuition. There are all these signals telling you, don't do this. And we know when we have to be, the lesson for me, and that's why I tell it, to go back to your real knowing. We've got this innate knowing. We've got this innate knowledge, and we all have it. If we are connected and you are aligned, you know what to do.
It's amazing when you don't follow that.
Yeah.
What happens to you?
Yeah.
And that can be anything in life.
It can be anything.
People, business decisions, anything, just gut.
In every way.
Yeah.
We've got this gut feeling, and it is gut feeling. If you believe in God, believe in the quantum field, it's all okay. But there's a higher force in which we are all connected and which you can align to and feel this feeling. And it gives you always signals. But the more you listen to that part, the easier it was. Then the mysteries come in, the miracles come in, the synchronization comes in. It's all there. We just have to allow it. And sometimes there are blocks in between. Yeah. And that's okay, because that's part of our conditioning, part of our whatever we learned. But it doesn't serve you. If it doesn't serve you, it's time to release these blocks and become honest and open and transparent. Yeah, I feel here a block. How can we release that in an easy way? And then we got a real society and a real connection, because we help each other. We remember each other to our deepest part. And that's the beauty of real. I see it, I must say, like here in West Australia, a lot of people are opening up to that part. I think everywhere in life, but maybe I see here because people are many times outside telling these stories. They're really opening, and they really want to discover that part more and more and more and more. So it has this enormous beauty to tell my story, to my part, how I went to that part, that how I did find that part. And still, sometimes I'm blocked, but it's okay. I'm a human being. It's normal. So it's just, if there is a block in a way, it's not me. It's just something I learned. I did wrong or whatever, thought I'm not worth it or whatever. It's okay. It's not me, it's just an idea. It's not the real thing, because when you're really in your core, you feel you're absolutely worth it. You're absolute bliss, you're beautiful, you're life itself, and it has an enormous power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And with like a lot of what we do here at the Blokes is really like tapping into how to really help men connect with their masculinity in a healthy way. So when you hear the word sort of masculinity, what sort of comes up? What's your sort of concept around that?
Yeah, for me, masculinity is not taking always the lead, but also the possibility to totally embrace also the feminine part. That's the real masculinity, because the masculinity is embrace all of life. And I think masculinity and femininity disappear at that moment because we've got all these two parts in us. But the full masculinity, because you've got this, I was brought up with 6 brothers, a lot of competition, 6 brothers, 2 sisters, so big family. So a lot of competition. We always were fighting with football, with basketball. It was great because it was hectic, but also beautiful. It was like a friction, and sometimes you need this friction to become better version of yourself.
Yeah.
So masculinity is also that part of going out and figuring out where is your limit and how can you go further. But for me, embracing that part where you can also embrace your deepest fears. There, for me, it is a real masculinity, because instead of living it out to somebody else, to embrace that part, then you can really become totally in your power, your full power. And then masculine and feminine is still there, but in its natural possibility. So that means embracing that part, and the more you embrace that part, that means that you can be in your full power. So also full masculinity. If you're a man, then when the whole energy is there, if you embrace everything, every block, every ideas where you get stuck, because then you don't live it out to anyone of your relations anymore. So that's for me real masculinity. Yeah.
And do you feel there's currently an attack on masculinity, on healthy masculinity?
Attack. Okay. Because I don't feel it as myself anymore. I'm not really busy with that.
Like in terms of, I think that can come from society, from pressures, from media, from conditioning, from government.
Yeah.
A whole array of things. Which, I mean, if it sounds like you've been able to probably a lot of these things be able to detach better than what most people have been able to detach. But for example, I think you can probably share a bit about this as well, Theo, like in terms of there's a few different forms of where they're really trying to drive men at the moment, and being more that weak, docile, not being within their body, being passive, not being assertive, not being of purpose. And really driving a lot of that, which is causing a lot of women to have to step up in their masculinity, so they haven't become hyper masculine.
That way, okay.
Yeah. And the men, so it's almost like it's causing
this confusion between the masculine.
Absolutely, because in societies, it's full of shit, because it's from the thought, it's from the vision. In nature, you see how it works. We just have to look to nature. You got also in nature the lion and the lioness, because they've got their own power. One is for getting the food, and the other for creating the safety in the family. So that's a natural thing. We've got it also in a human being. So they're in that way absolutely attacking. Why? Because they are not natural. So the natural way is the way we are all human beings, but also human animals in a way. We've got this animal part also in our. So in that way, they're absolutely attacking that part. Also the feminine, but there was also this part for hundreds of years that only the man is regulating everything and not really appreciating the feminine part, being the safe space, creating the safety. We have to acknowledge both parts. So it is attacking the feminine and the masculine, because it's completely unnatural. Yep. Because they are not living from this unity which we all have. And in nature, you see how it works. The man, in humankind, has to create the safety for the woman to explore her, and she's more like the, how do you say it? She's winter, she's summer, she's autumn. She has to express all her things, and it takes courage and it takes power for the man to embrace that all. And for me, that's the real masculinity, and we cannot go beyond that. Society is a lot of bullshit with opinions about these ideas to create like a gender neutrality, whatever. It is not natural.
You really see that.
It is not natural.
No.
So there is this healthy masculine, but there is also healthy feminine, and you have to. I always look to nature in that part.
And so I feel actually it happens also because we are disconnected from nature.
Yeah,
that's I think we're going more and more away from nature and all the laws of nature and all the stuff, and that's why it manifests also in those ways. See how we treat nature in general.
Yeah,
which does represent also the feminine.
Yeah,
yeah.
For me, the feminine part is being the safe space. Well, we can create as a man that also in ourselves, so we can be the safe space for the woman, and that's for the nature, the real nature, to explore and to find out, and that's the real power of the masculine. So in society, it's not understood anymore because they're gone from this natural way of living. So for me, that's in that way they attack absolutely the masculine and the feminine.
Are you concerned where things are probably going in the next 10 to 20 years?
Yeah.
In terms of particularly like the youth and the path things are going? Do you sort of feel like the way their health and mindset, everything's going with kids, and in that system, are you sort of concerned with where they're going to be in, like the young kids now that are whatever 5, 10, 15, where they're going to be when the new generation once they get to 25, 30, 40, where they're going to go?
Yeah, what I see, you got like a system. They want to educate children to get into a system which is unnatural, where they don't feel nature, the inner nature, outer nature anymore. So they have to get back to simple things, use the breathing, to become responsible for their own thoughts, ideas, physical health, mental health, and to get them aware. But we have to also acknowledge they come here they are full clarity already, their life itself. So you have to set natural boundaries in a good way to create a safe space, but not to put them in a limit.
Box.
Like a box where they not can explore and find out for themselves. So we have to go back to nature, and there are already educations who are doing this, and always remember them of their absolute power, which is life itself. And to keep that, they have that already, but we limit it with our own ideas, our own blockages. We put that on them. So we can learn a lot of a child. Other way around, they are in a way our teachers. So we have to bring it back. So we have to treat them like gods in a way, because they are so beautiful and so open and still.
They haven't been corrupted yet the way we have.
So we have to be very aware which ideas and thoughts do you bring over to your children. And because they can learn you a lot, they can teach you a lot. They're happy, they're playful, they're funny, and they're trying out. So to bring them up and to keep that beauty they have most of the time already, and sometimes they're a little shy, you can stimulate. But they have a genius in them already. And they research this even. The way of dissolving problems when you're young is mostly fully aware there already. But the older they become, the more educated they become, the less they are capable of solving problems. Because we put on a lot of shit and ideas and opinions how to do things. They don't see this absolute possibilities anymore, this quantum field of all possibility. So they become limited in the way of thinking, in the way of trying, way of feeling. But that is the idiocy, because as parents, if we don't know, we cannot teach them.
Of course.
So back to nature is one thing. Creating natural health is another thing, but also keep them aware of their own beauty and their own power, their own limitless being, which you all have. But you need then people who know that way, who have tried out that way, who have experienced that part, have seen their own blockages and their own shit, and finally can go back to this not knowing. Because not knowing doesn't mean you don't know anything. You are open to all possibilities. For me, I always begin, I talk a lot, but it's all intuitive knowledge. I just open myself from absolute trust to life itself. And sometimes I'm a little blocked also. See, okay, I'm here thinking too much. That's okay. I allow to be there and then go on. And then this natural flow of life can go on. But the children, they have got it already. But they don't know where the dangers are. So we have to take them a little, guide them a little in this beautiful experiences of life. And then they can become really, they still feel this connection from young on. And when they become adults, they still feel this connection. They will create from unity instead of division, instead of higher and lower or better or whatever. Because they are connected, they feel this connection, they keep this experience. So I think that is the most important thing when we have to educate them, and not this system where they are put in a society which is unnatural. They only learn how to produce for what? For the lot of shit which we are producing now. A lot of plastic, a lot of pollution, a lot of what? Also beautiful things. But it's time to see this doesn't work anymore. It's now really time. If we don't do it, we die all. Because it's a lot of, it's too much pollution. It's like the cup is full. And it's an ongoing thing. Everything you throw in the water, it comes back in the fish. You eat later the fish. So it's a circle. It comes back. We don't see, are not aware of that circle and feeling the connection, not only from the mind, because you can block the mind. You can say, I don't give a fuck or whatever. Then I don't feel it. I just look my television and it comes when it comes.
And she'll come.
Yeah, and it will come, and it is coming now already from everywhere, from all the sides. So we cannot shut our eyes anymore. We have to become aware, but also get the experience of this connection, because then you can act, not react, but act from this connection, from this unity, instead of react. And that means that is most from the mind. So acting from the heart, because it's part of you. When you throw something there or whatever, or you do hurt something else, it's part of you. It will come back in a different way. You can call it karma, but it's just a natural law.
Yeah. Do you feel also, especially there's a lot of talk about now about AI and the metaverse and all that stuff. Do you feel that it potentially can pull us even more away from nature and that state if we choose to really go there?
Yeah, I think it can be a possibility to help us, but we still have to be the one who is in charge. In charge. It can help you to make things easier, but if we give it fully over to a system which can even, how do you say it? Let go of us because we are not necessary. Yeah, it can replace us because it thinks not necessary anymore.
Especially with all the information that it already has from us for the past how long now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We'll become a redundant space.
Yeah. So you see it now already. We become not needed anymore. Artificial intelligence takes over. Yeah, for what?
Yeah, of course.
But if you use it in the right way, so we create a lot of possibilities to enjoy life or to do whatever, to experience other states of minds or other dimensions. We've got enormous possibilities. So it's instead of giving it all the attention, all the energy to artificial intelligence, we are still in enormous mystery with possibilities. We can play with all these feelings and dimensions if we become aware of these possibilities. And investigating that and creating more from that unity, we can create. But then we are in charge. Because we are the source from everything, also from artificial intelligence. We create artificial intelligence. We are the beginning.
Yeah.
But if you give the power away, then you give the power away. You've got no power anymore.
It's a hard thing because it's always, there's so much opportunity. But it's the intention of it and who's running it.
Yeah.
And where
absolutely
where their intention is.
Yeah.
And generally who creates it.
Yeah, because there's all programming. You see it now. There is a bigger group is becoming poorer and poorer, and a smaller group is becoming. They got all the money, all the possibilities. The multinationals becoming more powerful than ever. So it becomes scary now because they can do whatever they want because they've got all the power. but it's still physical.
Yep.
I think at the same time, if you got really power, you don't need to express that to anyone else because the power is inside. For me, it's a sign of powerlessness. If you need all these things to show your power, to regulate others, you say, to control others, you say, no, I've got control over myself. So for me, it's a sign of powerlessness, totally different.
Of course,
but drives a lot.
They've tried to find it everywhere else. They need all these machines, artificial intelligence, whatsoever, to fool themselves. But it will never be enough, never. No. But it will be enough if you see that power inside, if you discover that power inside. And what it is, that it is love itself, that is life itself, it's already complete. There's no more. But it is all only in different expression in everybody, as everybody. Like flowers, one flower is with a different taste and scent than another flower. But it has all its beauty. So that is the real power, to enjoy that all possibilities of life. Then you are this absolute awareness. That's for me the real power. The rest, and it's never sufficient. And I told this even to Wim like 30 years ago. You will never be happy with getting all the attention, because you are attention. You are the one who is giving attention. You are full attention. You are full awareness. So it's not there even. And I think we have all got lessons to learn. So, yeah.
What was he like as a youngster? What was he like as a youngster? He used to rule the race.
No, he was more, and what Wim has an enormous power and perseverance. What is power? But we played together, and it was really beauty of communicating and expressing and getting each other to the best version of ourselves. But he was always taking initiative in that part. So he's very powerful in that part. But I see now it's time that we all recognize there is no higher or lower. It's good that he did these extreme things.
Of course.
But now to see this possibility in everyone, we are already complete. We don't need to go so extreme. I did it also. But at a certain moment, it's not necessary anymore, because it's easier to recognize already in the beginning who you are and what you are. And then you can play out whatever, but it's not necessary. And will never be a higher or lower. I don't look up to anyone, and I don't look down to anyone. Yep. Because it's only a diminishment of myself. Because you are me and you are me also. Just a different expression.
Yeah, because if you're looking up at someone else, you're looking down at someone else, vice versa.
Yeah.
There's always going to be that. So have you ever, no doubt you have, but really thought about like the effect yourself, Wim, your family has had globally on people incorporating, and it's such a positive effect, and so many people have been introduced by the works of your family's done into cold work, into cold therapy, breath work, that sort of stuff, and really thought about how does it feel having that impact? And it's I mean, obviously there's a lot of people. I mean, other people have obviously promoted stuff like breath work and cold therapy, but like having like a lot of that from your family as well. And that impact that like very few people get to have that impact.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because like 20, 25 years or 30 years, we were sitting in the water. And people went to work, and we were sitting in the morning in the water, and they were fully dressed and in beautiful dresses. They thought, they're totally mad. And sitting in this cold water. And sometimes some people stand and they take some time and they talk to us and say, what are you doing? And then we explain. But not so many people were really interested. So it took a long time before it became like this method with the scientific research. And in the beginning, Wim was more busy with records. I was in the beginning more busy already with health and these things. So it took a long time and discussing and talking to each other and intuitive knowledge before it became this method. I must say, I knew already a long time it works for me. I never expected to become a disc. So I find it very beautiful. And I have to give a lot of respect to my brother, but also his son, but also to his ex who attributed it, but also to me, because I attributed like 20 years of my intuition.
Of course, yeah.
And in the beginning, Wim was not busy with the health and these things. Yeah. But now the story comes out. It's all about me. I did it alone. And it's sometimes too bad because we do it all together. We do it all together. You got your information, inspiration from everybody around you. I'm inspired by my partner also the last 4 or 5 years by getting me into more deep, relaxed state, seeing all my blocks, etc. Because it took me also a lot of pain, but to acknowledge that part. So I can acknowledge her, I acknowledge the ancestors, I acknowledge all the people who helped me, I acknowledge absolutely Wim also and Enam. But it brings me at the same time, I didn't get anything out of it, only the name. And that was nice, but at a certain time I had to follow their rules. But I'm not into following anyone's rules, only mine, which are from my intuition, which are right. That was the education from the beginning. We followed our own rules because we felt what is good for you. Even this can become too systematized. So I encourage everybody to find their own way. I give a possibility to find out, to research, but you have to play with it yourself because everybody reacts different. It's not for everybody the same.
Of course.
So you can put it in a system and it can work. It's a basis, but from there on, you are on your own. And we have got that inner knowing. This the moment you experience more, you find out what works for you, and that's what I say. We are all the same in that way, and there's no higher or lower. It has this enormous beauty, but at the moment, I think I'm something. I'm lost already. I've always to go back to this not knowing and being like a child, open to everyone and everybody, because there it feels there's the real knowledge. There I stay in my basis, which is life, love, whatever you call it. And then I can really, receive somebody without prejudice, without ideas, without judgment. Yep. And that's for me the deepest beauty. Not all these experiences, not being and created all these things. That's beautiful. So finally, they got it, all the world almost. But still, I can see it, and then I have to let it go. It's just beautiful. Yeah. That we had this enormous. And I'm proud on that I attributed to that part. Absolutely, give me some. It has enormous beauty. Absolutely,
no one does anything on their own.
No.
No one does anything. No, the most amazing people. They've always got amazing people put around them. You have to
absolutely
around you. There's no way you can do anything amazing.
And to give that back also to the other persons is then you feel connected.
Of course.
And it's real. And I find that of an enormous beauty. I love to say people help me in that part and that part because that's the truth. I don't have to remember anything. I don't have to remember a story and put on the same story all the time, because then I lose also energy if it is just a story. I can forget about everything. I don't have to hold on to whatever story, because I just say how it is. Just acknowledging, and even if there is something going on, just acknowledge it. Why not? That's the reality. Then everything has its natural way. We create such honesty and openness and transparency. We don't have to hide anymore. We can be open and honest to each other. And finally, this is heaven on earth. And then if there is something, we can help each other. Beautiful.
Of course.
Yeah.
And finally, what's the when your time's all done on this planet, what's the real footprint that you want to have people remember you for, and what's the legacy you want to leave?
I was thinking on the footprint, just like my foot's in there. That would be my last footprint.
Trick Beach.
Yeah, Trick Beach. I take it literally. I think that will, because it's warm and cozy. No, but it's the footprint. I think the recognition and the remembrance that we are life itself. I always say that is for me the deepest part and the fullest recognition of this love inside and encouraging, because you cannot hold on to anything. You cannot hold on to anything, because at the moment you hold on to it, it's gone already. We're changing all these times. So you just acknowledge, you go with the flow and feel the love and the beauty and the mystery, which is showing itself every second, every moment. And the more and easier you can go back to that state, the more beautiful your life will become.
Yeah,
and will be.
No, really, I'm reflecting so many things because we are so similar in our ideas and everything.
It must be then because that is the deepest part. This is recognition. This is just we are the same. You say something else, but we are we express ourselves there. It's the same energy.
So I really appreciate you spending the time with us as well, Marcel. So I still don't believe you're 58.
I'm not 57 in a week. I'm 58. Hey,
we look the same age. You're making me look bad on your skin.
Breathe. No, it is a nice fact, especially for women. This one. Now that I was in a relationship, like the relationship before I was with Anitra. Now, she told me when you do the breathing, like 20, 25 minutes, I see the lines disappearing every time. So it helps. You've got these little pots with whatever is inside, with a lot of oxygen inside, and you put it on your face. Well, why don't you take just the oxygen inside? If you want to become younger also, you don't see it with Wim so much anymore. Sorry, Wim, sorry. It's also because I think a lot of stress also. Because I see that stress part, if you don't deal really with it, you can see it. You can see it. And it's okay. It has its own beauty, just like an old tree. I find it miraculous to see an old tree. And I like the beauty and the oldness and the power and the energy inside. But you can change energy also physically.
Yes.
And to become aware of that part and use the breathing also. And you can see it in the lines, just a physical, simple thing. So for all the women.
Some free beauty tips at the end.
For the beauty tips.
And for the lads as well.
But for the man, it's like endurance. More energy, more oxygen. You can go longer. We did this exercise, and Wim came with that, like pushing up. And like 1 minute of breathing, you can do like 20 to 40 to 50% more. It's not about you train more, but the oxygen comes in, your burning becomes better. You can go on. And we did also exercise where you're standing this horse stand, sometimes for 10 minutes. You feel the pain, but because of the acidity, then you use the breathing, you can change your acidity of your body. So you can go on.
The more alkaline. Stuff.
The more alkaline you become, the longer you can go. So just the physical part.
Does this apply to the bedroom also for men?
There are more specialized trainings. Absolutely. For all the men. Deep breathing. Absolutely. It's energy. It's all energy. So it also works in all the places, even in the bedroom.
That's what our blokes.
Especially in the bedroom.
Especially.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Marcel.
Yeah, you too.
Appreciate it for coming today. It's been good to have you in Perth. I think you're here for a little bit more. You might be here a few months.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
No, we learned a lot. It was great having a chat, meeting and connecting.
Yeah. I learned a lot from you, and again, on being together as life itself, expressing in this way. I was very honored, and I'm very honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.